Hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and today we're doing a very exciting camera comparison. So Realme recently launched the Realme 2 Pro, and it is touted to be the best budget phone in the market, and in most areas it does beat every other phone. But to be the best budget smartphone, it has to have the best budget camera. So today we're comparing it to the Nokia 6.1 Plus and the defending champion in the budget smartphone cameras, which is the Xiaomi Mi A2. So this is going to be a very detailed comparison. So without any further ado, let's jump into this comparison. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do that right now, and also hit the bell icon so that you get notified for all these cool tech videos that we put out. Before jumping into this comparison, here are the detailed specifications, camera specifications of all the three phones. I'm not gonna blurt all of it out. You can read those specifications if you want to. You can pause this video right now and read all those specifications, but I'm gonna move along. So first of all, we take a look at some daylight wide shots. Looking at the daylight wide pictures, the Mi A2 seems to have a more underexposed image compared to the other two. The Realme 2 Pro has actually exposed everything well, although the sky seems a bit muted to me and a bit underexposed actually. The Nokia 6.1 Plus here looks to have the best looking image with appropriately exposed areas and good colors. Now zooming in, all the three images seem to have quite similar details, and especially looking at this tree, the Nokia 6.1 Plus seems the most natural. There is the same underexposed thing going on in the Mi A2, and the Realme 2 Pro has some over sharpening going on. Now for the people who do like over sharpening in their images, then the Realme 2 Pro is doing that for you. Now moving to other parts, the Nokia 6.1 Plus and the Realme 2 Pro are quite consistent, whereas in these cards, the Mi A2 has made them look slightly dreamy. The softness, although, has helped it get rid of the noise that's visible on the other two phones. Coming to the building in the top left, we see how the Nokia slightly lags behind with an overexposed building, and the Mi A2 and the Realme 2 Pro stay in focused and give out more details. Although I think here you can see that the Realme 2 Pro has slightly sharper but more noisier image, and the Mi A2 has a slightly softer but noise-free image. Now this part of the image where the Mi A2 and the Nokia 6.1 Plus have overexposed, the Realme 2 Pro has so beautifully exposed that too with natural colors. Now all the three phones did very well, and I had to pixel peep to find the differences, but purely based on how consistent the Realme 2 Pro was throughout the image, this round goes to the Realme 2 Pro. Now for HDR, first we take a look at non-HDR shots, and here we have perfect pre-HDR situations where there is a very harsh light in the background and the areas are either underexposed or overexposed. Although the Mi A2 seems to have done a good job here even without turning on HDR, even the Realme 2 Pro has exposed the subject quite well. Now we turn on HDR and we see some great results here. The Realme 2 Pro does nothing to the subject, primarily because it had already exposed him well in the earlier image. The background, however, has been brought back from the overexposure and it looks much better now. The Nokia 6.1 Plus has the most improvement, primarily because the non-HDR image needed a lot of it. The background and the subject have both been brought down to produce a much better looking image. The Mi A2 here brings down the already dark shadows and actually worsens the dynamic range of the image. I've talked about this earlier. Xiaomi does this in each and every one of their phones, so I don't think there's any point talking about it anymore. Now this round, when it comes to the HDR effect, purely because Nokia 6.1 Plus did the most HDR effect on its picture, the Nokia 6.1 Plus wins this round. Now moving into daylight close-up shots without zooming in, the Mi A2's image looks slightly dull. The Nokia 6.1 Plus looks too saturated, and the Realme 2 Pro seems to have struck a balance between showing boosted colors but not to the point that it looks very unnatural. Hence, I like the Realme 2 Pro's image here. So if you're someone who's not gonna edit their image, who's not gonna zoom into their image and is gonna post that image straight to a social media account, then I think the Realme 2 Pro has done a great job here. Zooming in, the Nokia 6.1 Plus and the Mi A2 have tried to focus on the pollen anther, whatever it's called, that area, but neither of them have been able to do that very well. The Realme 2 Pro also hasn't done that, but it has at least kept the petals in focus more than the Mi A2 and the Nokia 6.1 Plus. Hence, when you go and take a look at that petal area, you'll see much more detail on the Realme 2 Pro compared to the Mi A2 and the Nokia 6.1 Plus. Now, moving to the next image, which is a more beautiful image. So you see these lush green grasshoppers sitting on the bright red flower, and this is the most contrasty image that I could find, and it's very difficult for a camera to produce such bright colors. Now, the Nokia 6.1 Plus, just like the previous image, has done some weird artifacts to that red color and doesn't look natural at all. The Mi A2 and the Realme 2 Pro have done pretty well, and the colors on the Mi A2, especially that red color, looks quite natural. It doesn't look as bright as the one on the Realme 2 Pro, although when you zoom in, you see that the Realme 2 Pro has much more detail than the Mi A2 image, especially if you see at the back of that grasshopper where there are those white dots. You can see more of those dots on the Realme 2 Pro compared to the Mi A2. Now, the color difference on the Realme 2 Pro and the Mi A2 is negligible, and the fact that the Realme 2 Pro has much more details than the Mi A2 makes me want to choose the Realme 2 Pro in this round. Now, moving to portrait mode shots, the Realme 2 Pro has produced quite a soft looking image. The details on the face are all smoothed out, and this is clearly the beauty mode on the Realme 2 Pro. The Nokia 6.1 Plus has a lot of details. You can see that in the face when zoomed in. That said, the Mi A2 looks the most natural and has decent amount of details too. The actual bokeh effect is also pretty well done on all the three phones. The edge detection is also very on point. The Mi A2, although, is just closer to perfection than the other two phones, and hence this round is single-handedly won by the Mi A2. Now, moving to selfies, which is a weak area of the Mi A2, we clearly see that the Mi A2 has much less details and has softer details on the face. The Nokia 6.1 Plus has so much more detail that it looks a bit too much, although for detail lovers, you're gonna love this. The image overall, however, is underexposed. The Realme 2 Pro has again struck quite a beautiful balance between the two, although here the image does look a bit dreamy. Nonetheless, I prefer the Realme 2 Pro image here purely because it's just well exposed overall and there are enough details in the face. Coming to selfie portrait, the Nokia 6.1 Plus for some reason makes the image very cloudy and unusable for this comparison. It just doesn't look anywhere close to the other two. Now, coming to those other two images, the Mi A2 and the Realme 2 Pro have both done a great job in the blurring of the background. Although, all through the image, if we zoom in very closely, the Mi A2's image is filled with aberrations, and you can see those blue-red artifacts that the Realme 2 Pro's image doesn't have. Now, the bokeh mode effect is very comparable on both these images, and the selfie has more details and none of those aberrations in the Realme 2 Pro's image. So hence, my winner for the selfie portrait and selfie for that matter is the Realme 2 Pro. Now, moving to low light images, do I even need to tell you who the winner here is? The Mi A2 has better colors, looks to have better details compared to the Nokia 6.1 Plus and the Realme 2 Pro. The Nokia 6.1 Plus isn't bad too. You get some natural colors, albeit in an underexposed image. The Realme 2 Pro lacks severely here. The colors of the face have completely shifted and the details are way too soft. So clearly the Realme 2 Pro isn't that good a low light camera, and the Mi A2 is the winner for the low light images. Now, moving to some low light objects, we take an image first without the flash on, and I think you can see that the Nokia has completely lost that image to darkness. The Realme 2 Pro again has more noise, softer details, everything that you could find in a bad image, in a bad low light image. So the Realme 2 Pro clearly doesn't have that good a low light camera. The Mi A2's image is beautiful. I think even without flash, you can see each and everything in that image. The object has been exposed quite well and there is not that much noise too. Now, using flash, we have well exposed image on all three phones. Now, I am a fan of the tint that the Realme 2 Pro provides. Now, I'm not a fan of warm colors. Nitesh can testify to that. I don't like shooting in warm colors. I always like accurate or at least cool colors in my images, in my videos, in my photos, everything. I'm here obviously a fan of the Realme 2 Pro's image here. Although zooming in, the Nokia 6.1 Plus doesn't have any details when we zoom in. The Realme 2 Pro and the Mi A2 both have very similar looking images, but here again, the similar pattern is visible. The Realme 2 Pro has over sharpened all the details and the Mi A2 is natural. So it's your pick here. I personally like the Realme 2 Pro primarily not because of the details here, but because of the color temperature of these images. So the Realme 2 Pro is my winner, although the Mi A2 has produced an equally good looking image. Coming to videos, I took a 1080p footage from all three phones since there is EIS at 1080p on all three phones. Now clearly the first thing that most people will notice is how slightly warm the Mi A2's footage is. I like my photos and videos slightly accurate or on the cooler side, hence I like the colors on both the Nokia 6.1 Plus and the Realme 2 Pro. Now the step stabilization on the Nokia 6.1 Plus is completely off and the phone is trying to stabilize the footage but doesn't do a good job. And considering that there is EIS on the front camera of the Nokia 6.1 Plus that you'll see in a while, this is a shame. The Realme 2 Pro on the other hand also handles EIS pretty well, and while there is that jarring thing visible that you can also see on the Mi A2, it's still the best looking footage of the three. Also, if we pause where I pan towards the buildings, you'll see how the Realme 2 Pro has exposed everything much better than the other two phones. So for those reasons, the Realme 2 Pro is my choice for rear video. Now taking a look at front camera footage, the colors here look pretty similar on all three phones, although the Nokia 6.1 Plus, as I said earlier, has EIS and the footage looks beautiful. It's obviously cropped in, you don't get as much in the frame as the Mi A2 and the Realme 2 Pro, but EIS on the front camera is so awesome and so unusual to have in phones today. The sound on the Nokia 6.1 Plus, although, is leaning towards the left or the right depending on what way you've put your earphones, or if you know how to put your earphones well. Hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone. From the front camera of the Nokia 6.1 Plus. Let me know what you think of the audio and the video quality. Now the Realme 2 Pro has also exposed my face pretty well, and so has the Mi A2. So if we take those footages into post and add stabilization, then the footages should look pretty fine. So if you are someone who would post something straight to social media from the front camera for video, very specific use case, then the Nokia 6.1 Plus is the pick. And also my winner for the front camera video is Nokia 6.1 Plus purely for EIS reasons. So now coming to the conclusion, which is the best camera of the three? Is it the Realme 2 Pro, is it the Mi A2, or is it the Nokia 6.1 Plus? If you've seen the whole video, then you've seen that the Nokia 6.1 Plus takes some pretty good looking images. The selfies are okayish, not very well exposed, but the selfies are also good. The back camera is pretty good. The video side, however, on the Nokia 6.1 Plus isn't that good when it comes to rear video. Although when it comes to front camera, there is EIS on the Nokia 6.1 Plus. Now the Mi A2, which was the defending champion in the budget smartphone section, has clicked some pretty good looking pictures all through and through. The portrait mode is untouchable on this. The edge detection is perfect. The low light capacity of this camera is unseen or unheard of in this price range. And even coming to video, the Mi A2's back camera creates some beautiful looking shots. That said, the Realme 2 Pro has some great daylight pictures, and most people take pictures in daylight. If you are someone who would take a lot of pictures in the low light, then the Realme 2 Pro is not the choice to go for. The Mi A2 is a much better camera and it also produces good images in daylight. But for all the different areas that we went for in the camera comparison, the Realme 2 Pro clearly won most of the rounds and is the one winner for this camera comparison. So with that, we come to an end of this camera comparison. Let me know what you thought of this in the comment section below. Let me know if you have any feedback for this video. Let me know if you liked this video. Let me know if you hated it. But with that, we come to an end. That's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and I'll catch you in the next one.